Okay, this is just a short video describing some of the features of the PVEpLands.com server. I intend to go through these various features in order, but it's likely that other aspects that are different about the server will come into play as I explain some of the stuff. So, first of all, the primary difference right off the bat of the server is that it's very heavily magic focused. There's a focus on using magic for many things instead of not only just combat but other aspects of the game. But as far as combat goes, it's focused on using magic in addition to or as a replacement to melee. So I'm getting ready to head outside my house and ignore my pet for a second, and I need to buff up because it's dangerous out there. So let's get an oak shell. That was not a great cast. Let's try again. It's a little bit better. Alright, so the magic system on this server. There's only one deity. It really doesn't even need to be called a deity, but that's fine. But you have access to most spells. There's a couple spells turned off for various strategic reasons, but you have access to most spells. You pray once an hour, but you gain 3 times as much faith per prayer, and that's a Syndusk mod. With magic, like any other activity in Wurm, when you first start doing it, you're going to suck. You're just not gonna be very impressive at it. No different than chopping a tree or trying to kill a pig with your 30 quality longsword. So, but as you practice, as you do things, you're going to get better at it. Just like it would if you had a melee weapon. The damage you do with spells is heavily dependent upon the range to the target, your channeling skill, the wand quality, and the target's defenses. So if you... Oh, and the other factor that comes into play is you can cast on the move, but you cannot cast once you're in melee range. You can cast heals, but you can't cast attack spells if you're in melee range. But all that generally requires is backing up a step or two on your mount or on your cart, and then the spell being queued, it'll go ahead and cast. So distance really does matter. And the spells are trivial in cost. That was the whole point, is that you would have the ability to cast more than one spell without depleting your entire favor bar. And the other factor comes into play, and this is covered in a separate video, is that it really works best if you keybind the spells, because trying to right click and fire off a spell while riding is difficult. Okay, so let's go ahead and head out, and I've got a oak shell on. It's not an amazing oak shell, but let's try one more time. Okay, there we go. That's a good oak shell. So I'm going to get on my cart because odds are, due to other server features, there's going to be mobs nearby. Alright, there's just one. So I'm going to cast an arcane bullet, and I've got 53 channeling, so this will hit decently. There's 3 types of spells that we currently have on the game. There's arcane bullet, which is like ice shard, but it has a stun component. So it's handy when something's chasing you and you want to get away. If you fire it off, well, we killed him that time, but if you fire it off, it has the potential to stun the mob. So that's arcane bullet. There is fire orb, which is a damage over time spell. And alright, we'll try this spider. So I'm going to get up close to him and choose and fire off a fire orb. And that was a really good cast because I was pretty close. So we'll do that one over there and do from a distance, so that way the power of the cast won't be that high. That wasn't high enough to do anything. Now notice, one of the other mechanisms of the server is most mobs are social and have pack mechanics. So as soon as I hit him, basically every spider within a certain range started coming. Alright. The other factor is village doggos. I really have this to be covered in a separate area, but village doggos, when you're on your deed, they will defend you. They're not Templars. They don't respond to just every mob. but they are attacking. Sorry about the noise. They are attacking the spiders that are attacking me. So basically the dogs on my deed come to my defense, but I'll cover them in a second. So I'm going to fire off an arcane bullet right there, and then we'll put a fire orb. That one's about dead. And I didn't do that, the dogs did that. Alright. So, and then the third spell is called Spark. Now, not every mob will respond to pack mechanics. We'll cover that actually in a second. So, Spark is just simply... I must have hit the wrong keybind. Alright, so... Spark right there is just a damage spell. Some of my players really enjoy using Spark. I don't use it that much, but other players swear by it. So notice the dogs are responding. Now they only respond if they sense that I'm being attacked, so there they come to my aid. Alright. So the other thing, it's favor regen is fast. Again, that's a Syndusk mechanic. But you notice I'm down to half favor. So I've got two choices. I can Soul Steal or Soul Gem. Soul Steal just replenishes my favor bar directly. Soul Gem gives me crystallized souls, which are basically, it combines the act of soul stealing with vesseling into one swoop. So if I Soul Gem this dead spider, we're going to get an extra, and there, I got 53. So that's actually 106 favor, 107 favor that I can use later. So we talked a little bit about village doggos. They're like a regular dog, except there's a couple of features about them. They will follow you around, just like a regular dog would. Not all the time, but once in a while they just want to see what you're doing. So, of course they're not going to do it. Oh, here they come. It's hard to see if the shadow of the tree, but that dog's coming over to see what I'm doing. The other thing that they'll do is, like I said, they'll defend you. Oh, we got a boar here, so that boar is going to hit me. And then I should see some dogs come in to give me a hand. I got two of them because of pack mechanics. So I'll put a fire orb on that boar. And it looked like one of the other dogs. There's the dogs. And they bite hard, but they only do that on deed because they're a deed pet. Oh, great. So we got an ice hound involved here. So I'm going to put a fire orb on it. Oh, he'll die quick. Alright. The issue with the doggos, it's a blessing and a curse. One thing they won't do is they actually, when you bring a doggo onto your deed, it will stay on your deed. It won't wander off deed. It's basically a deed animal. So you don't need fences, you don't really need anything like that, just it'll stay there. But if you go to tame a horse because you want to put a saddle on it and the horse goes aggro, they don't know that any difference between that being something they should attack or something they shouldn't attack, so they will attack it. So until I change this mechanic right now, I would recommend you do taming and all activities like that in a fenced-in area that the doggos can't get to. Because once the situation is not an aggro combat situation, then they won't respond anymore. Okay, so pack mechanics. So we already saw a little bit of that in action. Let's demonstrate it one more time. It's a scary situation on purpose. I don't want the server is not an easy server. It's easy a little bit. So I see that spider right there, but the trees are blocking my view, and I can't see that there's another, couple of spiders. Oh, I thought there was back there. So I'm just going to attack that spider. I might be outside of its aggro range. Yeah, that's not a good example. But there's been plenty of times where I will fight something only to discover that there was 10 more of that mob in a pack hiding over the crest of the hill. So the next thing I know, I've got half a dozen spiders on me, and I didn't intend to. So these guys are fighting the village doggos over here. Alright. The other thing that is slightly different on this server is that mobs behave as a pack, and they group up. So if mob A sees mob B within its vision range, it'll join it, and they'll stay together. So eventually you could have a pack of, or like in this case, a pack of 20 bulls. But the other factor that comes into play is there's mob migration on this server. And I'm not going to go into the details that affect what drives mob migration, but mobs in packs by various types migrate in different directions at different times. So at any one point in time, domestic and herbivore type animals are migrating from west to east. Mobs that are classified as monsters are migrating from north to south, and mobs that are simply carnivores are migrating some other direction. I forget, I'd have to look at the code. But basically, mobs are always migrating. So what is and the other factor that comes into play is that mob packs will try to avoid deeds. They don't like being around humans, just like they don't in Vanilla Wurm. So packs will try to avoid deed. Sometimes they can't, so they basically bunch up on the edge of the deed, which can be quite intimidating on some mornings when you wake up and you step outside your door and there's 30 trolls on the hillside. But tomorrow, that may be replaced by 10 bulls or 15 spiders, and you just never know what you're going to get. The shorelines have a tendency to sometimes be crowded, but 48 hours later, there won't be a mob there at all because they started migrating across the landscape to a different destination. So it makes the server very dynamic that there's just mobs migrating all the time. And you don't actually really see it as much. I was hoping to do that, but it didn't work out very well. But I guarantee if I come out here in an hour, if the migration patterns shift, those mobs will be wandering across that way over to there. All right, so and then the final major difference is pets. I've always been disappointed. Well, I shouldn't say disappointed. I've always wanted more out of pets in the game. So I've put in a very rudimentary pet system. That's my aged champion, or my venerable champion, Icehound. I had to charm it or dominate, I don't remember which, and then when I did that, it became my pet. You can only have one pet at a time. Pet mechanisms are controlled either through typing commands, which sort of sucks, but I can tell this pet to follow by typing, or I can do it through my magic wand. So just activate the magic wand, which I have activated anytime I'm in combat or out hunting, and I can give it various commands. So pet follow, pet stay, pet attack, pet defend, and pet status. Pet status just gives me a quick update on the pet, and the pets gain skill as they fight. So his weaponless fighting when he started was 10. I purposely set all mobs, and this part's still in development, so I'm not 100% sold on how I'm doing some of these things. But right now, when you tame a pet, I set certain characteristics and skills to a baseline, so that way the pet still maintains some of its unique aspects, such as armor, combat rating, so on and so forth. But in this case, I set the pet's weaponless fighting, all of them, to 10. And if it's a troll, I set its huge club to 10. But then through combat, it gains various body stats and skills, just like we do. So you can check after you fight something, you can pull up and see what the pet loyalty is and if it gained any fight skill and so on and so forth. The other factor with pets is that buffs are huge. Buffs are a major factor. The reason this pet has Thornshell is because it has a 98 cast. Well, when I cast Thornshell on myself, it transferred that buff to the pet. So And that'll make a difference between life and death with that pet. So I'm going to cast True Hit on myself. And we got a 91 cast on that. And we got a... Oh, yeah. So let's examine here. He's got 101. Well, it's probably due to my wand quality. And then Bear Paws is ridiculously powerful on pets. So that was a bad cast. My channeling is like half of what some of the server players' channeling skills are. Bear Paws. Alright, that was a good cast. So now I'm going to tell my pet to defend me, which means he will follow me and engage in combat with anything that attacks me. It's sometimes a little flaky. I'm still working on improving that, but it does work. Pet follow, if I issue the command pet follow, he will just ignore me, or I'm sorry, ignore mobs, no matter that are attacking me or attacking him. So that's a dangerous command, other than the fact that unless you just need to get away. All right, there's a spider up there. So, and I don't know how many other spiders are around. So I can put him into attack mode. So I can say pet attack, and then I have to actually click the attack button there. And that's what really, pet attack just sets the mode. So the pet, when I say go to attack mode, then any creature that I target after that and hit attack on, he will attack. Now, I don't have a good way this time to monitor his health. So I just watch his health bar, and I'll generally get within range to look at his equipment and heal him as I need to. But he's taking apart that spider really fast. And there was no pack animals. So now that I told him to attack, he's not going to follow me unless I tell him to. Now if I actually, so let me find something else. So I can, because we're still in attack mode, if I click that cow and hit attack, he will go into attack it. So I'm now going to switch him to defend. And he's defending me against that wolf that just ran up. And then there, due to pet mechanics, another wolf just showed up. Sorry, pack mechanics. I don't know why he doesn't turn to face it. That's okay. Oh, must be another one out there. Yep, I didn't even see him. So there was another wolf there. So let me check his health. Oh, he's in good shape. Forest spiders. And I think he's actually on the pet. You guys gonna fight or what? I don't know why that didn't. Alright, he's hurting my pet a little bit. I don't have my heal spells keybound. I should. But I don't. Alright, so at this point I do not have a mechanism in place to resurrect a pet when they die. Now if I want to put this pet away in a pen and go charm a bear or a tortoise or whatever, I can do that, and then when I re-charm him or re-dominate him, he will still have the same stats that he had when I put him away. So right now his weaponless fighting is 18.8. If I put him away and he sits in a pen for a week just eating cow meat and hanging out, when I come back to him and make him a pet again, he will still have the stats that he left with. But if you spend 2 months leveling up your pet and then he dies, that's it. There's just nothing. I don't have a mechanism in place at this time to bring your pet back to life. I'm thinking about it and how I want to handle that, but that doesn't exist right now. So what else? The server has recall runes. I'm not going to put that in this video. And village portals. So, and we also have treasure hunting. This was actually the server that caused the treasure hunting mod to be developed. I didn't develop it. That was way beyond my skill. I'm not very good at this stuff anyhow. I basically take other developers' mods and use them as a foundation for what I would like to achieve, but I've never actually written a mod on my own. And that's fine. Where I was a year ago and where I am today is not even in the same class. I've learned a lot about how to develop mods, but still not quite there yet. So, oh wow, something just beat the crap out of me. That would have been embarrassing if I would have died making this video. Alright. What the heck? Alright, so on our server there's a PM server info tab that always contains updated links to changes and to the patch notes and stuff like that. So you can tell I'm terrible at multitasking because I can't figure out how to get off of a cart. But so it's always worthwhile checking that just to see what I've changed, because things do change. Some of these things are sort of prototype type mods that I'm happy I got them working, but it's not quite as good as I'd like them to be. So anyways, appreciate you watching the video, and hope to see you on PVEpLands. Thanks.